So Heather, Leslie's internet, I'm not Leslie clearly. Leslie's internet just got taken out.
Okay.
And so I am pinch hitting for her today
Awesome.
until she can join us. She's hoping to join from a mobile device shortly.
Okay. Sounds good. Good morning. Sorry I'm late.
Yep, no
The life
problem.
of a mother married to a fireman when there's wildfires burning just east of my town. So
Gotcha.
Where are you located?
I live in the I work in the Gorge, and I live in the teeny tiny town of Dufur, Oregon, population 600, and it's about 13 miles south of the Dalles.
Okay.
And
There's already fires going. That's scary.
Yeah, there's a fire about a mile east of where I live, so 'tis the season.
Cool. Cool. So Leslie sent me a list of questions for you, Heather. So
Okay.
Heather, why don't you just quickly, I know, I mean, obviously I know you, but give us a little like quick intro for those that may not know you on the call. Tell us a little about who you are, kind of, you know, your business and that.
Sure. So excuse me. I'm Heather Wright. I've been in real estate for 14 years. Prior to real estate, I was in a completely different field. I'm also a paramedic. So getting into real estate, I really knew nothing. I just knew that I loved houses. And so being in this business 14 years, I joined Keller in 2014. And prior to Keller Williams, I was just ye old average agent, maybe closing 8 to 12 deals a year. And as where I sit right now, July 1st, I'm about 2 away from what I did last year, which was 39, on track to hit my goal of about 72. I have a stretch goal of 100. So that's kind of where my business is now. I just recently started with leverage, which was a whole new concept. You know, Keller teaches us about leverage and you know, living our life by design, and I see it now. You know, other companies don't teach that. So yeah, Keller, I love Keller. I love the culture. I'm here to stay. So I couldn't even picture being where I'm at now prior. So
And Heather is on our ALC at Keller Williams Sunset Corridor as well. So she's definitely been a part of contributing here. So Heather, I'd love to maybe unpack, and then I know we've got like a whole new season, right? Going into real estate now as we're reopened as a state. So, but before we go there, like you just mentioned, a pretty significant jump. Like you went from closing a handful of transactions. I mean, now you're talking about 70 transactions. That's
right.
Pretty massive.
And
so
I'm
for
solo.
those that may be, yeah. So hear that. So if you're just getting started or you've been, you know, in the business for a little bit, tell us all more about what specific things really helped you see that possibility. Like, man, I could close 50, I could close 70. Can you give me like 2 or 3?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna dive deep into this because I was kind of thinking about this, and you know what, honestly, Jake, it's mindset is what has got me here. And I would say bold has really helped me get to where I'm at. I'm a big bold lover. I will always be in bold, even though I'm not a big fan of like the virtual bolds. But you know, I think that has been really eye-opening for me, in changing like my mindset, in really getting that drunk monkey off my shoulder, and really believing that I'm more than just a door opener. That's been huge to me. And then another thing that's been really, really instrumental in my business is coaching. I hired a coach in like 2017, and for the longest time I didn't have the right coach for me. he was too nice. And, you know, I was finding myself making all kinds of excuses. And so finally I had that really uncomfortable conversation, and now I have a new coach that, oh my goodness, I don't want to go Friday morning at 8:30 and tell her I didn't do what I did. So, you know, coaching has been really huge for me. And anybody who doesn't have a coach that wants to hit that ceiling and go to the next level, I highly recommend it. It's a huge, huge financial commitment, but let me tell you, it pays for itself. So coaching has been really instrumental for me, coaching and bold.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like.
And no,
Gotcha.
I'm not being
Gotcha. I
paid
noticed,
to
Leslie,
say
you
that.
jumped on. Do you want to?
Hi
Do you
guys,
want
I
to
am.
take over?
I'm sorry.
Leslie? I know you're in your car.
I know, Heather, and everyone, I apologize. This is why you surround yourself with amazing, amazing people. Jake, thank you so much for for jumping in. I was broadcasting a mastermind just before this, and they brought down a tree, and it took out my power, and my router crashed. So I jumped in the car. So the show must go on. Heather, I appreciate you jumping on today. And so thanks for getting us started. So let's rock and roll. Jake, did you just finish intro?
Intro, and then I'd ask her, you know, because she shared how she went from a handful of transactions to looking at 70 transactions as a solo agent. So I was asking her kind of what were 2 or 3 specific things that helped her make that jump, and she had shared just mindset changes, connected a lot to bold.
And another thing,
internet flagging as well.
Another thing that has really helped me too is you take the time for you, you know, take that hour in the morning to work out, you know, and take that time to do what fulfills you and pours into you. That's really helped me, because when I go to work in the morning, I'm a better person because I've taken the time to pour into myself. But that just kind of goes around that whole mindset thing.
I love it. Now, Heather, you have several years under your belt, right? Like we closed out 2020 with about 14 million, right? And about 36 transactions. That's where we were. Now, that was your best year ever, right?
Yeah, last year I did 39, and now I'm about 2 away from beating that last year, January 1st.
So you did that in one of the most challenging markets, and now let me rephrase that. Probably the most challenging economic market that we have ever seen. So today the conversation is start, stop, and continue. Is it fair to say that in the last year we've learned a lot of lessons?
Yes. Gosh, this last year, yeah. I mean, it's this last year has been crazy. I feel like my husband and I were just having this conversation, like life was so boring before 2020, so boring. So it's been a year.
So let's talk about, as of yesterday, congratulations everyone on day 2 of Oregon reopening, right? So whether it has significantly changed our business, right? Because we still had a historic year in real estate. The mindset of people is different today. So today we're going to talk about the lessons we learned, the activities that worked and didn't work, and how we're going to move forward from today. So Heather, and we're going to talk about how it goes through each one of our business aspects. So let's go to lead generation. What are some of the things that you did during the time of COVID that you woke up yesterday and today and said, you know what, I'm going to stop doing that in my business moving forward, in the lead generation aspect?
I don't think there's anything I'm going to stop doing. Honestly, Leslie, like, I love people, and I care about people, and having those care conversations, I don't think I'm going to stop that. Like, that's what I think sets Keller apart from everybody else, is that there's that whole culture, and just coming from that area of concern and care. So, I live in an area that we get the extreme, like right now we have wildfires. So, what can I do to help? I'm going to continue that in my business. There's nothing that I did in 2020 that I plan to stop doing, because our business has changed. So, I just feel that virtual showings, people are still going to want to do those things, video virtual tours. Those are all things I'm going to continue to do. Care calls, I love those. So there's not much I'm going to not do.
What I love what you're saying is, and this was really the mantra of last year, it's all about the relationship, right?
Yes,
it was that
100%.
before, it was that in 2020, it will be about that in 2021 and moving forward. Now, on the flip side of that, is there anything that you are going to start doing in the lead generation world of your business? And then by that, I mean, maybe some of the things that we had put on hold during the last year. So for example, client events, door
Yes.
knocking, open houses, are those things that you had suspended that you might be thinking about starting for the first
Yes.
time or restarting?
Yeah, so 2020, when I was doing my business plan for 2020, I really, because I don't, I'm not a cold caller. I don't like when people tell me where to go. So it tends to ruin my day. So one thing that I really wanted to do in 2020 was start hosting housewarming parties or farewell parties for my clients. And so I started, I had it all planned out, budget, what I needed to, be able to bring to those events. And then COVID happened. So I plan on doing those again, or making that a part of my business again. So I want to start hosting the open house, or not open houses, but the housewarming and farewell parties. Because I'm better, open houses have always been my bread and butter, and I'm just better in front of people. So what better way to put yourself in front of your clients who are super happy and in love with you because you just found them the perfect house, and now you're surrounded by all their friends. So that's something that I'm going to start implementing in my business now that things are opening up.
I love that. And for me, that means that's just a deeper level of the relationship, right?
Right.
And the great thing about that is you guys, when we're talking about these opportunities of client events, housewarming parties, door knocking, open houses, people are yearning for that connection. So as you build out the second half of your year, I want you to take some of these things and consider if you're at a comfort level to implement them into your business in a different way. Now, next question in lead generation. Is there anything new that you were chose to do or were forced to do during COVID that really worked and that you will continue and make a permanent part of your business plan?
Yes. I really leverage, obviously being a solo agent with my production level, I needed leverage. And part of my business that I wanted to grow was my listing business. I'd like to be more listing based. So I hired an ISA, and that was one thing that I started this year that has brought me a ton of leads. So now not only is my lead gen time sphere of influence and those care calls, I'm nurturing and calling on the ISA leads that I get. So, and filling that pipeline. So that's something that in order for me to hit my goal, I needed to implement. And I don't like people being mean to me. So And she loves her job and she's good at it. So, you know, she brings me about 40 listing leads to my pipeline a monthly so far. I mean, that's about the average. So, and Mona,
Mention what
Mona
ISA stands for?
what was that?
Oh, can you mention what ISA stands for?
She's an inside sales agent. So she does like circle prospecting. Whenever I have a new listing that comes on the market, she'll circle prospect open houses. And that's been huge for my listing business.
And Heather, like, I just want to stop for a second too, because we're going to have this conversation with a budget conversation for those of you who love the sound of that. Awesome,
Yeah.
right? And remember that we will always want to lead with revenue
Right.
when building a business, right? And Heather has got to the point where she gets to leverage that due to her unit count, but the activities itself that the ISA are performing are things that you as a solo agent can focus on in your business. So just
Right.
like she was saying, is that circle prospecting, and those lead generation activities, until the time you can afford an ISA or it makes sense in your business, know that those are activities you can do yourself, right, Heather?
Right.
Cool.
Right. Absolutely. And prior to hiring her, I was doing, you know, I'd call for sale by owners and expired listings, but I found myself getting to that point where, you know, somebody hangs up on me or says something, it just ruined my day. So I felt like I was in that part of my business where I could leverage that piece out and not, you know, ruin an entire day because somebody told me to go pound sand. So, and it works. It works for me. So now all of my lead gen time is spent, you know, talking to people who know, like, and trust me, and then nurturing those people who have raised their hands to her. So I feel like I'm actually making progress in lead gen instead of feeling defeated. Does that make sense?
I love it. And congratulations for earning the right to add that leverage to your world. That's amazing. I know something that you've worked for a long time.
Thank you.
Let's switch to another vein of your business, right? During the last year, with inventories as low as they are, competition in multiple places, and adjusting to the unique needs of our clients, what are you going to start doing in the contract or customer service activity of your world? Is there anything that you weren't doing before that now that the state is reopened and we have a right to do it, that you're gonna move forward with a new strategy?
I am gonna start door knocking the expired listings. Like I said, I'm so much better face to face and for sale by owners. I feel comfortable doing that. And Leslie, like you were talking about, going into 2021, the year of shortages, I found myself going back to that place of excuses like, well, there's no inventory. And I was beating myself up over it, you know, and it's not just my problem, right? It's all agents' problem. So in order to solve that problem myself and be able to provide a higher level of service to my clients, that was another reason I decided to go ISA. Because, you know, I want to be proactive versus reactive. I feel like in the market that we're in right now, the RMLS is like our last resort for listings. There's so many opportunities out there. You just have to go and find them.
I love it. You just hit something. I want people to hear that. She feels like the RMLS is the last resort. So you're actively going out and finding the inventory for your clients.
Right. And when you have that conversation with your clients, you know, it's a different conversation that they're hearing from me that they're hearing from other agents, you know, like, wow, she's proactive. She's out there looking through Craigslist, Facebook classifieds, all those, Zillow for sale by owners. Like I'm going through all of these. I'm going through old expired listings, sending letters, making phone calls. You know, I'm trying to be as proactive as possible, and that's a different conversation I'm having with my clients than they're hearing. So, you know, they have more comfort knowing that I'm out there actually working and not just waiting for my phone to ring.
So I want to have a conversation about anything that you're going to stop doing. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of things to preface this, right? Like
Okay.
when COVID hit, we all had to adjust and adapt, right? Like every
Right.
house had foodies and sanitizers and,
Yes.
you know, we changed the way we did it. We switched to virtual open houses, right? Like we didn't put people in our cars anymore to show
Right.
houses. So now, how are you approaching those things that became unique to that period of our time? Are you stopping those immediately, or what does your transition plan look like out of those activities, if that's the case?
So, you know, my background, I'm a medic, I'm a paramedic. And I know that there's like, just because everything opened yesterday doesn't mean that, you know, I'm going to drop everything. There's still people that are sensitive to COVID. So I'm going to respect that and continue to have that at the front door, because there are still going to be people that are uncomfortable. So I don't know that there's anything I'm going to just abruptly stop. Just because I know there's people who are comfortable going forward with no masks and life prior to 2020, and then there's the other side. So I want to be able to respect everybody and their comfort level. So I don't know necessarily, Leslie, that I'm going to stop anything at the moment.
I love that. I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to open this up, because I think this is an important conversation for us to address. You switched largely to virtual listing presentations and buyer consultations. Is that something you're going to stop or continue during the time in the market to come?
I think it's just going to be an option I'm going to leave open for my clients. Like there's another thing I didn't talk about. So I'm still going to leave that open as an option. Like, are you comfortable meeting in person? I can do this virtually, or we can, you know, so that's just going to be an option. I'm not just going to go in and assume everybody's comfortable seeing my face. Does that answer your question?
It does. And I think that the conversation that we're having, you guys, is as professionals, it's our job to meet people where they are, right, and guide them down the path. So although the restrictions may have listed, one of the things I would challenge each of you in your business is how do you create the most comfortable, right, inclusive, and supportive experience as we continue to navigate? Despite whatever your belief is on, right, any spectrum of what is happening, whether it's showing houses or doing open houses or meeting in person, asking the question of what is your preference, and then as a professional responding to that, I think will be a critical aspect. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if I was a sensitive, super sensitive person to this, and I was, you know, being on the other side of the fence, and the agent was completely like COVID out the door, all safety precautions, I wouldn't go that route. You know, having that conversation where, what are you comfortable with? Mask, no mask, in person, virtual. Can I offer you a virtual tour or in person? You know, I think that's what we need to do right now. Meet people where they're at. So
I love that. And then the virtual piece of this, right, you guys, is remember that this world also showed our clients that business and life can be done in a different capacity. And although as realtors, with many of us with a high amount of I, where meeting face-to-face, belly-to-belly is really important for us, the world is also saying, hey, I prefer not to commute. And, you know, actually, I would like the option to not drive to your office to do a buyer consultation. So we said at the beginning of this, mastering going virtual was the challenge. Now, bridging the gap between virtual and physical is the new thing you must master.
Right. 100% agree with that.
Awesome. And Jake, I cannot see the comment box, so if there's any questions, will you just jump in at any time if I miss anything?
Another thing I'm really excited to do, and I'm implementing, it's on my calendar, so it's going to happen, because what does Bold say? If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. I am starting to do, I'm finding that I like to work with the older demographic. So I'm doing these seller, like senior seller workshops or next step workshops. I've got my first one scheduled for August 20th, and we're going to do in person. We're going to have people that, you know, like in person and live stream. So I'm really excited to add that piece to my lead gen. Sorry, I forgot to mention that before. But just some fun out of the box things that I know nobody else is doing out here.
So Leslie,
I love it.
One of the questions that's in the chat is from Aisha. She says, with the virtual piece, what technology are you using with clients? Do you have them download Zoom?
I'll do Zoom. Some people like to do Facebook Live, or not Facebook Live, but the FaceTime. Those are the two that I use the most.
And for those of you guys who are not aware, right, with Keller Williams, you get a Google email. So that also means that you have Google Meet. So
right.
That's a free service that you can also use. So I would say, Heather, you're right. The three most common services that we're seeing is Google Meet, Zoom, and FaceTime.
Right.
Whatever the client is most comfortable with often.
Right.
Awesome. And Heather, I love that conversation because that has been a big question. And we're going to do a mastermind on that. I believe next week's mastermind topic is seminars.
Oh,
seminars.
When?
So next week, same time, same place. That's going to be our mastery model mastermind next week. And that's going to be a great topic for those people who are hoping to add that in as a lead generation source as we bring people back together. And they're going to talk about physical and virtual options as well. Okay. So
yeah, I
love that.
Because of the demographic that I want to target, which is, you know, like I just had actually one of my current clients gave me this idea. She's when I met her in 2017, she was newly divorced and was buying her own place on her own. And then she bought this sweet little house and met a man, and now they're merging. You know, she's in her late 60s, he's in his mid 70s. They're merging their two lives together. And she gave me this idea. She's like, well, we don't even know where to start. How do we do this? So she gave me the idea, and I'm going to bring in like an estate attorney, financial planner, and an insurance agent to have, and an estate planner to all be present at this seminar. So I think it's going to be a really fun way to network. So
I love it. So last topic before we open up for general questions, you guys, and keep dropping them in that chat box, is let's talk about your budget and spending, right? Like the budget model of the MREA. Over the last year, tell us about some of the activities that you stopped spending money on, what you think you will start spending money on, and what did you choose to invest in over the last year that you will continue, right? The ISA being one of those things. But tell us, let's start with stop. What are some things that you found last year that you just stopped paying for, maybe cut your budget down?
Oh, I was paying into like all those Keeping Current Matters, Ladies of Real Estate, like all these like little tiny, you know, they're not super high dollar, but over a year. So I stopped doing those because I found that I wasn't even really using them. You know, just some cute realtor memes that I could find on other in other areas, and I got a virtual assistant. Oh, money well spent there. So I invested in my virtual assistant, my ISA. I really haven't changed much of other than those two pieces. And I didn't really cut much out because I didn't really have a whole lot, just like little tiny things.
I love that. And here's the deal, you guys. And I know, Heather, you run a pretty tight ship anyway with your business and keep track of your profit
Right.
and expenses. So one of the things that I want to mention here, you guys, is when we have any shift in the market caused by any factor, right? Whether it's an economic shift or in this case, a pandemic, it's a really great time to assess
Right.
your business and where you're spending your money. And like Heather said, is anywhere you find that you're not getting an ROI, right? That return on
Right.
investment, it's a good time to cancel it, right?
Right.
And what we find is us realtors are really good at expense creep, right? Like, ooh, that looks fun. That's
Yes.
awesome. And I'm going to sign up for it, right? And then it's a subscription. And you
Right.
don't realize every month it's taking $3.99 out of your account.
Chasing that next shiny object. Yeah.
So for all of you, I would love to make sure that you're reevaluating your businesses. Are you spending money on lead generation sources that are not giving you an ROI? Have you subscribed for something that is not adding value to your business or not giving you an ROI, right? And those things should be eliminated immediately. And then what can we invest in to give us the best return? I saw some questions about VAs. So Heather, can you read out what those are? Do you see them? If not, Jake, if you can help, that'd be awesome.
Let me see.
It's just really, Mona's asking just more information about how to get a good virtual assistant. What does that look like? So, I mean, I guess it'd be, Heather, are you using a certain company, or where are you sourcing that?
So I had this conversation with my my coach, and it was time, because I also have a transaction coordinator, because after this long in real estate, I realized my weakness is paperwork. I am teaching my virtual assistant how to do some of those topic or some of those things right now, but virtual assistant, I got through Cyberbacker, which is owned by a Keller Williams, I think is Tim Dial. Did I say it right? He's out of Austin. So when they train, so when you hire a virtual assistant through Cyberbacker, they put them through command training. They do like 2 weeks of intense command training. So it was really important to me that I found a company or somebody that was savvy with command, because I don't have the bandwidth to sit down and teach somebody command. So that's how I found my virtual assistant, and she's great. She's great. She does all my marketing, like my social media, Instagram, Facebook. She creates all my content, and I've been getting, people message me on Instagram. Oh, your posts look so great. Who's doing them for you? So, she's really doing a great job, but it was really hard to leverage that piece. I really learned a lot about myself. I'm a control freak, and even just handing over my transactions to my transaction coordinator was hard. But now I'm so grateful that I learned leverage. Thank you, KW. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without my virtual assistant, transaction coordinator. I know if I go out of town, they've got my back, so, and my business goes on. So, I don't know where I was going with that.
Some additional clarity. No, Heather, I think that's great, because I know that some of you guys aren't there yet, but it might be in your 1, 3, or 5-year plans to kind of walk the path that Heather is doing. And one of the great things about looking at a virtual assistant option as opposed to an employee, right, is this is contractor basis, right? So going virtual assistant allows you to hire on a smaller level of project basis and really control that expense, as opposed to hiring employee, right, that we are now taking on payroll and having
Right.
to manage all of those taxes, payroll, employee basis. So it's a really great natural next step to look into transaction coordination, where we're paying out at closing, right? You're paying with income received, or looking at virtual assistants where we can really get the most of our money and not have to do a lot of training. And if your business does experience a change, they're easy to back down the workload or eliminate from the business.
Yeah, we started out part-time, so 20 hours a week, and I quickly realized that I needed her full-time, and that was a really easy transition. Yeah, and it's been really money well spent. I can spend, instead of, doing marketing and marketing open houses and marketing all this stuff, I can spend that time lead gen, doing my follow-up, which I really had not had time to do, and we all know that the money's in the follow-up. So having that piece has really allowed me to really focus on my lead gen and my follow-up. And I've gotten to the point where I don't feel like I'm letting anybody slip through the cracks. And that was happening so much before. I would get all these leads, and then I'd be too busy doing all these other administrative tasks that I was letting these people slip through. So no more of that.
So
do you have your VA? Yeah, is it hourly or project basis, Heather?
I pay with my virtual assistant. I pay $1,200 a month. It's monthly. She works 40 hours a week. And she's really great. I think I found a really good one. I usually send her a task list, and she responds, on her time off, and we'll work on stuff. And I have to tell her, stop, it's your time off, stop working. So it's been really good. I pay her per month. She's in the Philippines. And she's really good. They've got a whole team. They do coaching. And yeah, it's been really money well spent. If anybody's interested, Cyberbacker. I think the part-time, I only had her for a month part-time, about $800. They do charge $600 to onboard them and get them through the command training, which was really, really important in me choosing what company, and so forth.
I love that, Heather, that you said that, because what you really have chosen to do was leverage your leverage, right? Like, you needed leverage, but you also needed leverage that you didn't have to train. There's a lot of other virtual assistant companies out there, and they're fantastic. They have great people. But you're right, Cyberbacker is one of them out there, and there are others that are specifically trained on KW models. So leveraging your leverage, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, let's, in the last couple of minutes here, is there any additional questions that are rattling around that we can have Heather address that are in regards to start, stop, or continue in today's world, or any other specific questions for Heather's that she can help with? Don't be shy, guys.
I just want to also, while you guys are thinking of things to ask, really what changed my world was taking the time to pour into me, right? Like, take the bold, get on the masterminds, learn from other people that are doing business maybe at a higher level. I didn't do that before. I read books. I have a goal that I read 2 books a month that are business development, growth type books. I'm on masterminds. I do bold. I go to family reunion. I do, so those are all things that help us grow. And when we're not growing, we're dying. Hate to be so blunt, but I never poured into myself like I have recently, and it's been really, really life-changing. So, and bold, if you haven't taken bold, I highly recommend it.
Bold is an awesome experience. And for those of you guys who haven't heard, there is Bold Local happening right now. And the word is that if you missed it this round, that we hope to bring Bold back locally
In
later
person?
this year in person
Thank
in
goodness.
October. So
Okay.
Heather, that was awesome endorsement. And for those of you who want to put that on your growth plan, especially with the change of the market and
Yes.
planning for what the rest of 2021 and 2022 will look like, that might be a great option.
But like, I just want to nail this. I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse right now. Like, I've done Bold 8 times. I'm not really good on Bold Zoom. I'm being honest. I'm like, I get so distracted. I'm kind of like ADHD, but, and I can't get up in the classroom and say, I'm Heather and I'm Bold. So it's hard for me to do the online stuff, but I'm telling you, it has transformed my world. I've lost 70 pounds. I'm a nicer human. I don't make excuses. I own my mistakes. I own my failures, and it's okay because it's an opportunity to learn and grow. And that was not the Heather before. So I really, really, really recommend, like, my business has changed exponentially. And I think it's the Bold, I think it's culture, mindset. So yeah. And I'm not getting paid to say that. I'm telling you, it has changed my world. And that's what I attribute it to. Just pouring into myself. So.
Well, Heather and Jake, I feel like I don't think we could end this mastermind on a more powerful note. You guys, the takeaway from today is Heather has invested in herself first, right? Like, and you invest in yourself, right? And when we talk about money, right, what to do with your budget, you're not spending money on Bold, you're investing money in yourself.
Right.
And when you walk away today, think about what you can do to invest in yourself to make sure that you are on track to hit your personal and professional goals moving forward, knowing that we are in an ever-changing industry, right? We are changing. Our clients' expectations are changing. The laws and rules and regulations around how we sell and transfer real property are changing. And our economy is constantly changing. So as you grow, keep pouring into yourself. Heather, you are amazing. Any final parting words or anything else that we can close out today with?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, just take care of you first, and then everything will follow. Figure out your one thing and everything else will follow. So. And like my husband gets overwhelmed. He's like, before I was just a door opener. Now I'm like, oh, let's do this. Let's invest here. Let's open this business. And he's ultra conservative firefighter. And I'm just like reaching because, there's no ceiling in my world. So.
I love it. Well, congratulations on an amazing 2020 and an incredible 2021. Keep growing, and we're excited to have you on more masterminds. Thank you all for coming today. Have an amazing, powerful rest of your day.
And if any of you have questions, or just feel free to call me or email me, whatever. I'm an open book. So.
Heather, would you drop your contact information into the chat box real fast? And the other thing that I will say is for those of you who are looking for an incredible agent out in the gorge, Heather, what areas do you specifically service? So if they need help servicing a client, they can contact you out.
So I am dual licensed, and I cover from, sorry, I'm putting my, I cover from about Cascade Locks to the Dalles, and I do Washington side as well. So you could say like Skamania to Goldendale, Oregon and Washington. I cover a big area, but yeah.
Incredible resource in that part of the world. All right, you guys, reach out to Heather with any additional questions. Think of her for your clients in those areas. Thank you all. Hope to see you all on the Mastery Models Mastermind next week, same time, and look for that email in your inbox. Bye, you guys.
Bye, guys.